Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey, everybody, how we doing? I really need a new mouse. Because, at first I was thinking, it'd just be needing charging. Nope. It be doing this on a full charge, not clicking. That'd be really, blowing me. So I'm hoping everybody doing well. Hopefully everybody's doing well. A couple of things before we get started. I have been really enjoying myself. I done played all them games now. But, a few months ago, maybe about in December of last year, they remastered Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2, and the original Blood Omen. If y'all don't know, don't even worry about it. Games. And I have been really enjoying myself playing the game because I never played Soul Reaver 1. I played 2, and I played Blood Omen 2, and I played Defiance. Defiance is the one they need to remaster. They completely plan in our faces. I'm gonna need Defiance. What is y'all doing? Also, after having played Soul Reaver and then playing Soul Reaver 2, they really gypped everybody on Soul Reaver 2 because it wasn't no health things to get. It wasn't no secret places to go. And Soul Reaver 1 had too many secret places. Yep. Soul Reaver 1, 2, and Blood Omen 2 and the original Blood Omen are now available on PS5 as remasters. So if you want to play them games again, you can, and you got a PS5, you can definitely do it. I got a PS2, but I ain't hooking up no PS2. Or was it on the PS3 that I had Defiance? But I'm not about to hook that back up. But I love games. Hey, Miss J. Monet said, hey, I've been a member for 50. Hey, Miss Lady, how you doing? Done changed the name. Hey, Miss Bella, how you been doing, Miss Bella? How the family? I almost didn't recognize you. Speaking of games, I have never been into horror games, but a little game passed my on my timeline that's got me interested. It's called Little Nightmares, and it's almost Tim Burton-ish. The how creepy it is and how the monsters are made and stuff like that. It's almost Tim Burton-ish. And those might be the first little horror games I might get, because I can watch a horror movie all day. Horror movies don't bother me, but look, games, that just prove I want to watch the foolishment, but I don't want to be part of the foolishment. You understand what I'm saying? But Little Nightmares doesn't seem. It seems like the ambiance is more creepy. I mean, you got some scares, but it's not like jump scares. Not like you being chased, but you're not the same way that you would be chased on like a Resident Evil or something. Anyway, moving on from my little game thing. I'm going to touch very, very briefly on my last live and sort of, I guess, the fallout from it. Most people were respectful even in their disagreement. I want to say that first. Most people were respectful even in their disagreement. I don't care that you disagree. I do care that people are respectful or not, though. But I do like The Last of Us. I never finished it. I only ever started the first one on a PS3 years ago. Probably like 2016 or something. And I never finished it. It was The Last of Us. The controls were a little bit more complicated, I think, than they needed to be for what the game was. I mean, you only had so many things that you was doing. You were sneaking, you were like fighting, and you were like getting different objects and exploring the environment. I thought the controls was too cumbersome for the kind of game that it was. That's partially what made me stop playing it. But just a real quick thing on my last live stream. Okay, how can I start it? I believe, and this is just my opinion, that I have done a pretty good job on this channel not beating nobody over the head with Islam. Everybody knows that I'm Muslim. I make no bones about it. I don't try to hide it. I don't try to downplay it. At the same time, I don't use this channel to proselytize or to try to get people to agree with Islam if that's not what you do. Okay? However, when I talk about spirituality, I'm gonna talk about it from an Islamic point of view. I'm going to. I'm not going to try to do the middle ground with that. I'm not gonna do no middle ground. Couple of things that I'm going to point out, and then I'm gonna move on. First off, like I said, it doesn't upset me if people disagree or they have their own thoughts about it. That's up to you. I'm not here to try to make you think nothing or do nothing. But stop saying, for those of you who say it, stop saying religions is from the white man. Stop that. Stop that. Whenever I hear that religion is from the white man, that make me think that whoever's saying it, you think God white. That's all that come to me. Anytime I hear somebody say religion is from the white man or these are all white men religions, the Mormons is a white man religion. You understand me? Mormonism. The Church of Latter-day Saints, Jehovah's Witness, those are white man religions because they have a board of white folk that started it and run it. It's that those are white men religions. Okay. The God of Abraham and of Adam and of Noah and of Moses and of Jacob and of Muhammad and the God of Jesus and the God of David and the God, that God right there, that ain't no white man. That he not white. Matter of fact, he's not a man. We use he as familiar for our language. And oftentimes Allah refers to itself in the masculine, which is where we get it from. But make no mistake that the Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything in between is not a human being of no color, tribes, creeds, families, nations, ethnicities. That's for us. That's for the human being. The humans. We have family ties, tribal ties, national ties, ethnic ties, things of that. We have those ties. We have those ties. This is how we identify. This is how we move around culturally and things of that nature. That is for the human being. The Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything is in between has no need for any of that. He is outside of the needs of any of his creation. He is the creator. He is al-Khaliq. He is the creator. Everything else is al-Makhluk, the created thing. Whether we know about that thing, don't know about that thing, familiar with that thing, not familiar with it. Everything outside of Allah is created by Allah. No form of ancestral, quote unquote, spiritualities and all of that predate him. None of that predates him. None of it. None of it. None of it. Because it wouldn't be here without him creating everything that was necessary for you to try to do it in the first place. The concept of his oneness and having to believe in that as a requirement of being a believer, i.e., no idol worship. Idol worship has never been okay. It's never been okay. From Adam to now. From Adam to now. See, religion didn't start with Abraham. It started for humans with Adam. And before then, the shaitan, before he was shaitan, before he was a Iblis, when he was Azazel, he was required to believe in the oneness of God. It's a requirement. It's always been a requirement. That requirement has never changed. It has never been altered. So please don't confuse the reality of the creator of the heavens and the earth and everything in between with whatever you think religion is or whenever you think that stuff came about. Don't confuse the two things. Whatever narrow view you think you've got about who that creator is, Allah give us the portion of him that we can understand, that we can comprehend. It's a white man's religion. Like white people invented God. Just because he got that white man hanging up there on that cross, that God ain't white. Y'all still on that? Y'all still on Cesare Borgia being hung on that cross, quote unquote, hung on that cross? Y'all still caught up with that? It's 2025. And your God is not a white man. I shouldn't have to tell y'all that. That was killing me. It was several comments. You know, all of these religions is white man religion. Like, what? So when God be talking about the ancient times, what time period do you think he be talking about? Who he talking about? Y'all do know that the person that is depicted to be Jesus, that depiction, that white guy with the hair, that guy, you realize he's Cesare Borgia. You realize that is a portrait of an actual historical figure who was the son of one of the popes. I forget exactly the pope. They actually did a whole like kind of fictionalized TV show years ago called The Borgias. You realize that was his son. And they did like a portrait and they did a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Right? And they've been running with that ever since. Every movie been about Jesus, been some white guy. That's not Isa alayhi salam. That is not Isa alayhi salam, the son of Maryam alayhi salam. That's not who that is. I know that they tell y'all that's who that is, but that's not who that is. Anyway, moving on from that. And we're going to get into a rather interesting conversation about believing all women and that never making sense at all. I'm going to show y'all a clip. And also, I might continue the witchcraft series. I'm thinking about it, and that'll be members only. Because I want to talk about binding. Okay. People need to know this stuff because it is happening around you. And a lot of times people are unaware of what these things look like. But in any case, I digress. Let me get back to the topic. I'm going to show this clip real quick. And we need to just take a look at this real quick. Just listen.
I had a homegirl, right? She had an encounter with a guy. She was on him. She hella liked him, whatever. She called me the next day. She was like, yeah, we did woo woo. And I was like, cool, right? A year or so passes. She meets a guy that she's really serious with. And then she's like, so I was thinking about that one guy I was with, and I think he wanted me. And I was like, you totally wanted him. You totally called me. You totally told me all the details. Like, what do you mean right now? But I think it was like the shame that I think she felt that she allowed herself to go there. And then when she met a serious guy, I think to herself, she was trying to make it seem like he overstepped or whatever. But he was like way tossed and she wasn't way tossed. Like she was fine. I think about shit like that. And I'm like, God forbid my sons were to have an encounter with a girl. She fully is, you know, fine with things. And then years, months later is like, the shame that I feel is uncomfortable, so I'm just going to say that you took it back.
Okay, fellas, just please make.
All right. So when we listen to what the lady said, she was recounting a story of her and her friend at some time ago, and how her friend was getting lit, getting turned up with a guy, had sex with the guy, they was into each other, da 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 da. Friend calls her after, like, girl, you know, I hooked up, blah, 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 girl, for real? Yeah, girl, ooh, and he did such and such, girl, ooh, that was so good, girl, all right, girl, you know, hey, glad you had a good time, yeah, da, 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 da. All right. So the friend, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? She, you know, your girl might call you with that. Dudes call, friends call each other. Right? Friends call each other. They tell each other about, man, I did this, I did that. Man, you will never believe. And you know, you hit them with the, that's crazy. You know, that. Sometime later, a year or so later, the same friend gets into a more serious relationship with another man, begins to think about this past encounter that she had. So the fact that she thought about that encounter, they must have got real nasty with each other or something. Or the guy was real good in bed, something. Because why would you think back to that particular instance? And she think, man, I got smutted by that guy. But man, I kind of feel bad because now I'm with this guy. I don't know if I want to be smutted by him though. I like him, but I don't know if I like him to smut level. But man, I let this other guy smut me though. Man, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe that I went out like that. Man, okay, that was crazy. You should have left it like that. If you feel remorseful, if you feel even shameful about something that you did in the past with somebody or whatever, you may feel like, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I was thinking back then, man. I thought that was what I was supposed to be doing. You know, a year or so, however many years later removed, thinking back, that was crazy. Why was I even on that? Like, I was on crazy. I was on a lot of foolishness. I was on demon time, actually. Everybody has done something that you think back and you be like, that was not it. I do not like that, and I'm not gonna. And if don't nobody know about it, you gonna be like, I ain't telling that, because that's crazy work. I don't know what I was on, but I was on something stupid. Because why I do that? Like, I don't even agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was way out of pocket. Like, I was all the way out of pocket. What was I doing? Everybody got a regret of some sort, whether it don't even have to be sexual. It could be anything. You can regret how you behaved in a particular situation. You can regret something you said to somebody, something you did to somebody. It don't even got to be a sexual thing. Everybody has some regret somewhere where it's like, man, I was tweaking. Like, I was tweaking bad too. Because why I do that? Like, I would have got mad at me too. Like, tweaking. But you're not supposed to let the tweak. What is it about the tweak that you feel like you need to go back into time to do revisionist history because you let a dude smut you that wasn't your husband. You let a dude that not only was not your husband, you wasn't even serious about this dude. It seemed like it might have been a little fling, a little one night stand, blah, 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 blah. So you let a fling, a one night stand, an unserious situation smut you. Now you quote unquote done grown from that. Now you feel a certain type of way. So in your feeling of a certain type of way, what make you go back to revisionist history to try to act like that guy did something that might have been questionable? Like, if y'all don't get out of here with that, this is why I don't be, when it be too long and the story don't make no sense, this is why when Bill Cosby started getting accused and everybody was like, yeah, he guilty, they did it, da 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 da. It's like, we talking about some stuff happened literally 50 years ago, literally 40 to 50 years prior. Get over it at that point. Gotta get over it at that point. Let God sort them out at that point. Because what is you talking about? That's way too much time. That's way too much time. We not going back over that, ma'am. And all y'all bras old. That's why I wasn't with it. Because even if he had done it, what people didn't understand, I think when I was trying to express that, some people didn't really understand it. What they didn't get was, even if he had done it, it's over with now. That was 40 years ago. If you have not moved on from that in your spirit, that's on you. Because you can't tell me that 40, 50 years ago, y'all wasn't at a Hollywood party dropping acid, taking pills, and snorting lines and having sex with each other, and he was the only one that was the plug. Like, I ain't trying to hear it. All y'all was high. And 40 years ago, plus Bill Cosby was a black dude and his accusers was white women. Since when a white woman ever been scared to report a black man for it, whether it's a lie or not? Which white woman ever been scared? When has that ever been a thing? I ain't gonna say that to him because he Bill Cosby. They don't care who you is. She gonna always have white tears. She gonna always have white tears. In this country, she gonna always have white tears. What is you talking about? She ain't thinking about that. Oh, he Bill Cosby. We talking about Bill Cosby in his heyday when he was young, back in the 50s and all that. They don't care nothing about that. He black. What that mean? That he more of a target. More of a target. If he was really doing something that, you know what I'm saying, really had jeopardized them and really, man, they wouldn't have been able to wait to throw him under the bus and get rid of him. He wasn't the superstar then that he became. Like, he was rising, you know what I'm saying? Like, remember he was in I Spy and stuff like the little TV shows and da-da-da-da. He was rising. But we talking about a young Bill Cosby. We talking about let's do it again, Bill Cosby. Uptown Saturday Night. If it's 50 years ago, he done got away with it for earthly stuff. If he was doing something, this an old man. He got one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel. He gonna see his maker soon. He gonna see him. And whatever he got going on, that's gonna all be revealed between him and his maker. So this is why I want to win. Janice Dickinson, girl, you don't remember what you ate for breakfast yesterday. We not trying to hear that you remember every sordid detail from something happened 50 years ago at a party you was high at. I'm sorry. My point here is this. To the lady's point in the video, it be the shame. It be the shame that the women feel that make them try to revise or tell the story differently in a way that makes them a victim. That is a dodging of accountability. I got smutted. I regret it later because I really wasn't supposed to be moving like that. So now, let me tell this story again. And not only do they do a private retelling of the story, you got some chicks that'll go so far as to try to go to the authorities with it and ruin a man's life on a lie that they know is a lie. Just like old girl got caught up. Remember this years ago? Some girl accused them football players, and I think they went to LSU or something like that. And man, ruined them boys' whole career. Talking about they gang raped her, and it wasn't even nothing like that. It wasn't even like that at all. It wasn't nothing like that at all. Don't want the consequences of whoring or to be perceived as a whore. Right. Okay. Y'all corrected me. The Duke, they was lacrosse. Right. And as a woman, I get it. You don't want to be viewed as a whore if you're not a whore, and sometimes even if you are, you don't want people to perceive you as a hoe. That's what the whole don't slut shame and all that. That's where all that come from. But you not wanting to be seen as a whore, why you gotta try to come for the men that you know wasn't doing nothing to you? Just feel the shame within yourself and move on. Vow to yourself never to do that again and move on. I don't understand what's the problem. You don't need to come out of no woodworks. and lie on no man and tell the authorities or try to ruin his life or try to find this guy again or try to. What was the point of calling your friend back? The same friend you called to brag on the fact that this guy had you in a half Nelson, only to a year later try to say, man, he put me in half Nelson, but I ain't agree to it. Yes, you did. That's why old girl was like, hold on, you called me. I remember the phone call. I remember hitting you with the man. That's crazy. I remember it. I remember. And the lady thought about, I got sons. What if how easy would it be for my son to be with some woman, they chilling, they break it down with each other, have sex with each other, and way down the line, she tells somebody in authority over him or his job or something that he raped her back in 1896. What? Girl, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? This is why I don't believe all women. And let me be very clear. When I say I don't cotton to believe all women, it's not that I don't believe that women are ever victims of rape and other SA. They are. They are. There are plenty of women who have been full on raped that got to walk around with that in their mind and in their spirit, and they gotta just deal with it, especially in cases where they might not have been able to stop it from happening, or if it was a repeated situation, like you know what I'm saying. I've known of women who grew up with their dads, and their dads did it to them for years, starting when they was little girls, and them and having to live with that, not being able to tell nobody, and then way years later after they was grown, and then telling, and then people like, no, that's wrong. No, you're lying. The crazy part about it is that victims who was really victims usually don't say nothing about it, because the sense of shame connected to that is overwhelming. The sense of shame, the self-esteem issues, and all of the very crazy psychological issues that you go through after that are overwhelming. Most of the time, the majority of the time, the shame come from, man, I didn't see that coming. Or, man, I shouldn't have put myself. They blame themselves. Real victims of rape and stuff like that have a tendency to blame themselves for that situation. No matter how much they wasn't the culprit, you can't tell a real victim of rape that they wasn't at fault for that. Because all you do is rewind it. Everything leading up to the point, everything with how you should have did this, or how you should have did that, or what you should have done differently, or what you basically you blame yourself for that. And it's so shameful that you don't tell anybody, usually for many years. because not only is it shameful, you're afraid people won't believe you. And true enough, people don't really be believing you. When you say that, people's first reaction is, that ain't happened, or you're lying somehow. Somehow that's not the story. So it's like, tell people for what? Tell them for what? They ain't gonna do nothing but call you a liar. This one couldn't have did that to you. Why would they do that to you? Why you ain't tell nobody? Because I didn't tell nobody then for the same reason now. Because I had to say it then, you said I was lying. And the fact that I waited, you said I was lying. So what's the difference? So real victims typically never talk about it. And they usually don't go to any authority to discuss it, to rehash it, to relive it, to recount it. They don't ever say nothing. They take it to the grave. So I know that there are victims, but what I'm against is giving unfair amounts of leverage to people to be able to lie on a man without any kind of evidence at all, not even so much as a story that makes sense about how it came about, what was going on, all of that. I don't believe in, because believe all women insinuates that we don't need to investigate any of the claims before we assume that the man is guilty of it. That's what I don't like. That's the part I don't like about it, because it just assumes the guilt. And not only does it assume the guilt, the consequences come to the man prior to anything being proven. His reputation is usually dragged through the mud of some sort, whether that's on a local level, because everybody not a celebrity, but you know what I'm saying? Just drag his name around his friends or around his family or in his workplace or things of that nature. And then once the men are found to not have done any wrongdoing that they were accused of doing, to the point where not a technicality, but literally they were innocent. They couldn't have done it. Like the Brian Banks situation. It wasn't just a technicality where you still could have did it, but technically we can't convict you of it, but we know you did that though. Not that. To the point, like in that Brian Banks case, he couldn't have done it. The story she told was not plausible, nor was it possible. Because you can have somebody where the circumstantial evidence is super strong, but it's like that one technicality, I can't pin you. But you did all of that. Everything they say you did that. You did that. We just can't pin you, but you did it. We know you did it. 50,011 people ain't lied on you. You did it. You did all of that. We know. But We can't really get you. And then there are some instances where it's like that person could never have done that. No, they didn't do that at all. Not only could we not pin them for it, there isn't even so much as circumstantial evidence that would link them to this. Matter of fact, all the circumstantial evidence actually leads away from them being the culprit in this situation. They're just not guilty. They're just not guilty. Not only are they not guilty, they're innocent. I don't think people get the difference. Some people are not guilty. Some people are innocent. Like Shannon Sharp was on the verge of having his whole thing that he tried to build in terms of his podcast and all of that crumbled down by a whore he was dealing with. Now this one is on, it was on cam, on audio, talking about she want how much money she want per cheek that he gonna clap and all this foolishness. Tried to drag his name through the internet street. I always thought it was stupid, even though I thought he shouldn't have been dealing with a whore like that, because whores turn on you. Whores turn on you. Whores try to extort. But I also did not believe that he had done anything with that woman that was not consensual. I didn't believe that at all. He was tricking with her. So everything they did, he paid for. She did it. She got paid and went on. Here tell he went to court. Him and his lawyers went to court recently. Her lawyers didn't even show up. That's because you ain't got no case, Bookie Butt. We knew that because she tried to release the audio, but the audio made her look stupid. I mean, we was laughing at him for the way he was interacting with her, but none of that interaction that I heard indicated to me that he was doing anything to her that she did not consent to do. It just didn't. I didn't hear anything. I heard nothing. They was kikiing and all of that, and she was being slow on the phone. But why? Why would you say that? Come on, girl. That was nothing more than a bad porn script that was recorded. Hey, girl, you need to practice a little bit more your porn acting. Your porn acting is bad, Bookie. So that's my take on believing all women don't make no sense. Because if there's gonna be an accusation of that magnitude leveled at somebody, you're gonna have to really prove that. Like if you came through with a lawyer and trying to have a case, talking about somebody done really egregiously violated like that, there's going to have to be, just like any other accusation, there's gonna have to be an investigation behind that. And something gotta tip it off to make that story make sense. Like the recordings kind of get me, because unless these things happen in a climate or in a place that already has recordings, I don't know how I feel about the recordings, because if you're really getting, I'm gonna try to be careful with this. You're usually not in a position, physically or psychologically, to record an actual incident as it occurred. Again, unless you just in a place that's got cameras, that's got microphones, and it got recorded. Like, we live in that society now, where everywhere is a camera, everywhere is a microphone. You usually don't have it within you, either physically or psychologically, to try to record what's happening as it happened. Death before dishonor, I'm sorry that happened to you. Unfortunately, in our community, we blame children for being SA'd. We blame them. All the kids that get SA'd wanted it. The girls was fast and the boys was mannish. And the abuser is never held to account. The boys was being mannish and the girls was being fast. If they are getting raped by family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, and stuff like that, even sometimes parents, we blame victims for not being able to stop the abuser from victimizing them. That's what we do. We blame the victim for not being able to stop their victimization. They're a child, that's an adult, and if the molestation go on for years, we start asking, why did the child go for it? We never take into account the psychological damage that goes into abuse, grooming, the grooming that happens, the psychological hold that happens. Don't tell it, the threats, the things that's said to the child. We don't take that. We look at the child and say, why come you didn't? We don't look at the abuser and ask them why they did it. And for Black people to pretend as though we don't understand that not only children but grown people can be under a psychological hold of somebody that's abusing them to such an extent that they might become complicit in their own abuse and victimization. Because sometimes even we'll hear about children who will willingly be around their abuser, and we're not taking into account the psychological part of that. Rarely are people being abused by people they don't know. For Black people to deny that systems of abuse exist and you can be part of that is crazy to me, considering our ancestral history of chattel slavery in this country. That boggles my mind. As Black people, we will still talk about the psychological damage that slavery induced upon us as a people. Even today, we suffer the residual effect. For us to play like we don't know that abuse has a system connected to it, especially if the abuse is ongoing and not just a single incident, for us to pretend like we don't understand that is a travesty in the face of our ancestors. Because if children and grown people can't be caught in a system of abuse, what was 400 years, 500 years of slavery? What was that? What was that? What was that? If that was not a psychological system of abuse that had the majority of slaves complicit in their own capture and oppression, what was it? And so now we don't understand systems of abuse. Now we don't know that people can be groomed or psychologically broken, or their will can be broken. And now we don't know that. Now we don't know that. Because every slave wasn't getting whipped 24 hours a day. And a lot of times when we would try to get away, it was other slaves that told and said no, complicit in our own oppression. What was that? We outnumbered them. So what was the problem? For a couple of 100 years before they started bringing women into it, the men were being brought. Why come the men didn't stop it? How did it get to 500 years? How it stretched that long? To where an entire system could be created in order to maintain that level of oppression for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. By the time it was over, it was millions. But now we don't understand systems of abuse and oppression. We don't understand how a victim can at some point become complicit in their victimhood and still not want to be a victim. We don't get that. We don't get it. So now all of a sudden a child can break the victimization of an adult that's visiting abuse upon them. But come on. It's a lot of people who was captured by serial killers and stuff like that, and they didn't tell. They may have had the opportunity to tell on, but they never told. They wouldn't tell the police. They wouldn't tell, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, because it's like, if I tell and I don't get away, that's me. I'm out of here. And I can't take that chance. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Let me be clear. I'm not blaming our ancestors. My point in bringing up chattel slavery was Black people having cognitive dissonance about not understanding systems of abuse where you are caught in the abuse, yet our ancestors went through hundreds of years of chattel slavery where there was nothing but abuse. How we don't understand, how we don't get it, how we can't make the connections. Systems of abuse run the same way, whether it's a large system or a small system or one-to-one. Abuse has a cycle and a system to it. That's the other problem. No real repercussions behind falsely accusing people, lying on people, and all of that. You gotta be held accountable if you just gonna bald face lie on somebody. Thank you, Gregory says, salute. I need some of that feminine insight. What's going on with Black women getting upset with Black men speaking to them at the grocery store? I don't, some people have manners and some people don't. If you got manners, you speak politely to somebody who spoke to you. If you don't got manners, you don't do it. Thank you, Almanas. I keep speaking the truth, sis. They need to hear it. Thank you so much, Elder. Thank you so much, Elder B, and I appreciate you. Thank you for your super sticker, Soul Heaven. And thank you to Renzo saying knowing is greater than believing. And we know this. That said, why people, adults, still stuck in the age of belief in a world of knowing. Seriously asking, example, know versus believe thyself strange, right? I know. Thank you so much. That's all I got for you today. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.